Hello and welcome to Oh Hello Maker. Whether this is your first box or you've been crafting along with me for a while now, you are going to absolutely love today's project, my polymer clay earrings. Creating your own earrings is so much fun, and with the help of the bespoke cutters that you have in your kit, plus my step-by-step instructions, you'll be able to create professional looking earrings too. And don't worry if you don't have pierced ears. You can either save the earrings and give them as a gift, or you can use the clay and the cutters to create a beautiful wall hanging instead. As always, I really hope you love creating them as much as I love designing them for you. And if you do go on to share something on social, please do tag me at ohhellomaker and use the hashtag ohhellomakerbox. And if you do post something, you may find an extra little thank you in your next box. If you have any questions at all about the tutorial, or you'd like to send me some photos of your creations, come and find me on Instagram at ohhellomaker and send me a message on there. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. Right, let's get jewellery making. Okay, so you want to work on either a lovely clean piece of glass, this one was just from a picture frame, and give it a good clean first, or you could work on a ceramic tile. Alternatively, you could work on just a piece of card, or a baking tray would work too. So first up, get your polymer clay out of the packet. So it's important to condition the clay first by kneading it till it becomes really soft and flexible. This will just make it a lot easier to shape, but take care not to trap any air bubbles. Also, it's good to preheat your oven at this stage to 110 degrees Celsius. Double check that on the packet, with whatever clay you're using. So squeeze it between your hands to warm it up, and then roll the clay out onto the piece of glass. Now you can use a rolling pin here, you can use an acrylic rolling pin, or if you don't have any of these things, you can use just a drinking glass, which works really well. Then fold the clay over and then roll it out again. Now you want to do this a few times. If you have a pasta machine lurking about at home, dig it out, because this works really, really well for conditioning your clay, but also rolling it out to the perfect thickness as well. A top tip here is you can place a lolly stick either side of your clay, and then you can use that as a guide for your rolling pin. You want to have it so it's about 1 centimetre in thickness. Then carefully place on your sheet. And then get your rolling pin and start to roll the gold leaf into the clay. As you'll see, the gold leaf begins to crack and it will give you this beautiful, unique pattern. You want to roll the clay out so it's about 2 to 3 millimetres. And then at this point you can put some gold leaf on the back as well. It's entirely up to you. So take your daisy cutter and press it down into the clay nice and firmly. Then carefully lift it up either side, very gently. You want to make sure the shape doesn't lift away with the cutter. As you can see, mine did exactly that. So I recommend, if that's happening, roll your clay a bit thinner, and also you can try dipping your cutter into some water as well. But you'll see there, look, I had 4 attempts and they all came out, so it's easily done. And you can make as many shapes as you like. And the great thing is it's not air drying, so it's not going to go really hard if you don't use it. But I do recommend popping it into a box, a little airtight box anyway, so you can use it another time. Carefully peel away the excess clay, and if any bits get stuck, you can either press the cutter back into it or just use a craft knife just to cut away the excess. Now I think this is called a skeleton pull. There's a lot of videos of this on Instagram, but as you can see, I didn't do it in one pull, so it was not Instagram worthy. Now it's time to make some holes in your clay pieces. So either take a tapestry needle or a paper clip, and you want to poke a hole either side of the central bit of the daisy. Now you'll see here, I'm actually poking a hole in the very centre of the daisy as well, because that's an alternative type of earring. You want to carefully scrape the pieces of clay off the glass. Now this bit can be really tricky. If you've got a specialist blade, now there are ones you can get, use it. If you've got a Stanley knife, take the blade out of the Stanley knife and sort of wiggle it underneath the clay. Alternatively, as you'll see here, I just used a craft knife. So turn over your pieces and make those holes from the back as well. Do that with all of the pieces. Now this piece is going to be for a wall hanging, and I'm using a ruler to cut the circle in half. So I've got two semicircles, but you could use a knife. Then I'm just going to press the semicircle up against a ruler just to make that edge nice and flat. So make two holes in these pieces so you can thread them onto your hanger. To make the studs, find the two smallest little gold rings in your envelope, then gently press them into the clay. Pick the piece up and then you want to roll the clay between your thumb and your forefinger just to even it out. And you can press the ring down a little bit more. Now, just be warned here, the rings, as I've found out, can fall off after you've baked them because there's nothing really holding them in place. So what I recommend is just adding just a tiny speck of glue after these have been baked and they've cooled down. So when you've got all of your pieces ready, you should have popped them onto a piece of card, then onto a baking tray, and then put them in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. As I said before, you want to set your temperature to 110 degrees Celsius. I think that works out about gas mark a quarter. So once the pieces have come out of the oven and they've cooled down, take your two stud pieces. And now you want to apply a little bit of flexible super glue to the back of the clay. Then carefully press on one of the studs, hold it in place for a few seconds and pop it to one side. You need to leave it for 24 hours to properly cure before wearing. And as a reminder, you may have to add a couple of little dots of glue for the ring too. So to make the daisy earrings, first of all, obviously you have to wait for them to cool down after being in the oven. So take one of the larger jump rings, then holding it with the pair of pliers in one hand, either use a pair of tweezers or another pair of pliers if you've got them at home, and you want to twist the jump ring open. So have the gap at the top and then twist. Then take your first daisy piece and feed the jump ring into one of the holes of the daisy. Then take the largest gold ring and loop it onto the jump ring. Then take your tweezers or your pliers and close that jump ring up by twisting it back to its original position. Now you want to repeat this process with the second jump ring. Now, as an FYI, this bit is incredibly fiddly. Because I wanted the gold ring to sit on the front of the daisy, I actually made life a lot harder for myself. So if you want an easier life, I would suggest having the gold ring at the back of your daisy. But as you can see, it was a lot of trial and error here. Very, very fiddly, but I think it was worth it in the end. So you want to loop the gold ring into the jump ring so it sits on top of the daisy, and then close the jump ring up. So you want to take one of the smallest jump rings now, loop it onto the large gold ring, then take your loop stud and hook it onto that small jump ring. Then close that jump ring up and add on a backing. Now all you have to do is repeat the process for your second earring. You can see here that I've just created a simplified version here, making one hole in the daisy in the middle and then using a jump ring to attach it to the loop stud. Making the wall hanger is super simple. Just take out the embroidery thread that you've got in your box, thread it onto a needle, and then you want to weave in and out of the holes on your little clay pieces. If you're finding that your clay pieces are slipping around a little bit, you can either do a little knot or add a tiny dot of glue afterwards. Then once you're happy with your arrangement, simply tie the end of the embroidery thread onto one of the small gold rings and then snip off any excess thread. Then you can either use that gold ring to attach it to the wall, or it looks really beautiful if you hang it up in a window, as it will be able to move around a bit like a mobile, and the gold leaf catches the light really beautifully as well. So there you go, 3 ways with polymer clay. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to send me pictures, and I'll see you again soon.